Let me start with trail cameras, and we'll go from there. All trail cameras use a IR light to illuminate the darkness for the nighttime photos. I believe that the Sasquatch can see the red IR light and knows to avoid these things. So I suggest, if you do want to use a trail camera to try and catch evidence, that you use the 940 NM series of blackout lights, the blackout IR lights that is not visible to the human eye, which I feel is important. And I'm not saying that Sasquatch cannot see this, but he has a less likelihood to. I believe that they can see the red IR light just like we can. And if they can, if we can see it, then they can see it. And you have to be under that assumption from now on. So let me introduce you to the ones that I usually use. This here's a rather standard trail camera. It uses the red IR light that you can see. And I pretty much use this in a way that you shouldn't use the camera that you actually want to catch the evidence with. I usually put this up about 7-8 feet up in a tree, and I use it as a decoy. I want them to see this, because if they do see this, and I still arm it and just in case something ever happens, but is what you want is to put your good one that you're going to camouflage up and not put it so visible on a tree just behind this or a little distance away from this one. What this will do is it'll force them to actually go around it and to avoid it to begin with. So if you put this up your first night, is what's going to happen is it has to go in one of two different ways. It either has to go so far in front of it that it hopes it won't trigger it, or more likely it'll go behind it and just cut behind it. And that's where something like this comes in handy. Now this is my a little bit smaller version, but it has the blackout IR lights, and I only use video because I believe that video is slightly more these days less likely to be faked than a photograph. And photographs, let's face it, if they don't move, doesn't really show you a whole lot, and you can only go so far as to gather evidence in a photo anymore. So all of any of the good evidence that's going to be coming out here hopefully will be video and not like static pictures. But this is what's actually going to catch them coming behind this one. So you actually want to kind of set traps for them, get them going certain ways. You want them to see certain things but not others. And this is a key example of that, is using the trail camera traps that I use. You have to go under the assumption that if you can see it and spot it, then obviously they can see it and spot it. And if that's the case, you have to hide these in places where you normally couldn't see them. Like if you're going to stick this one up in a tree 8 foot high to try and catch the face that most people want to see, and they have to avoid it, you're not going to place this one 8 foot up in the tree. You're going to place this one behind it a little bit, and more than likely down by the base of the tree or in a bush that's next to the tree. You're not going to end up trying to use, you're going to try to use this one as a decoy, like I said, and use that one to catch the actual good evidence that you want. Your good trail cameras, I like to modify. I usually don't care much for the camo that's on them, and it might make better sense to actually have some real sticks or some moss, or in this case I just pasted some fake moss on the exterior just to make it blend in with the nature a little better. Perhaps even like, some wood bark that's fallen around a tree, maybe you could put that on it, something to make it look a little more natural, because the reflection of the shiny parts of the lenses to the paint job that's on them from the store sometimes can be a little reflective, to where you kind of want to dull things down. You want things to hide in the shadows. Use the black IR lights to give yourself the best chance of stealth and to not be noticed, and gather multiple evidences, not just one quick little thing. because then it scares them off because they see it. You want them to keep coming back or go through that area and keep getting that same evidence. It's a little bit more important that way. When humans go out into the wild and into the wilderness, we carry our human stench with us. And any animal that can have a better sense of smell than humans, which is all of them, can tell where you're at and where you're going and where you've been. So whenever you go to place these, especially your good ones, you want to probably spray down with some no-scent spray. Now, obviously, you want to cover your camera lenses with a piece of cardboard or something and then spray the whole outer part of it just to give yourself that chance to eliminate what odors that you did put on it. Now, obviously, there is going to be a little bit of a scent trail of that you went to the tree or through this path and then back again, but it ain't going to have something as noticeable as something that's left there that you've touched. So you kind of want to let them know that, yeah, you went through this area, that's fine. And they might go through that area to be curious. But if you're going to leave your camera up and very visible, they're going to avoid it because they're going to be able to see it. So, and smell it. Now, I don't necessarily recommend or think that you need to cover yourself with, no scent spray yourself, or to wash with special soaps and deodorants and stuff that, is for hardcore hunters. I don't think you need to go that far. Would it help? I'm not sure. I don't really think that that's anything that you need to do. It's up to you if you would like to try it and see if it helps gather better evidence. I don't mind knowing that they know where I'm at. I want them to. And there's reason for that, and I'll get to that probably a little later in one of the other ones. That's my point on the trail cameras right now, is you have to place them in places, obviously, that you hide them from your own sight. Now, any type of camera, I'm going to suggest, if you're going to hide it that well, that you might not find it on your way back. You go, I could have swore it was around here somewhere. You might not be able to find the right tree, or the right tree might look at like a little different angle because you came down a different path or a different angle to come to the tree, to perhaps put a marker on the tree. Maybe a little string or a brightly colored, cloth, something that you can tie to a branch of a tree, or something that's a little bit more visible. And because it's something like that, it might actually attract or create some curiosity for a Sasquatch to come over and investigate what is this that now is attached to the tree. And if that's the case, you have your camera nearby, maybe you can get that evidence that way also. So it's a kind of a double whammy. Obviously, if you're going to try and go this far to get good evidence or better evidence, then you're going to want to find it later to actually get the evidence. So prepare yourself to know where your cameras are located. Obviously, anytime you leave your cameras out in the woods, I would suggest cleaning them. If you set them up for a week and you keep passing by them, take a cloth with you, a lens cloth, and be sure to wipe down the lens area. I mean, there's a lot of bugs, rodents, and other things that can lick and distort or touch accidentally your camera, and you want nice clear images. You don't want fuzzy spots, or if it's rained or the mist in the mornings and stuff like that. So clean your lenses often. Make sure that your lenses is clean of any debris and fingerprints and stuff like that, so you get crystal clear images. Take care of your cameras when they're out in the wild. Don't just forget about them and hope that they're going to get something good. Take the initiative. Every night that you go out in the woods and go past your trail cameras, I would suggest changing something about them every night. The object of the game that you're trying to achieve is you want them to guess wrong. You want them to guess that this way is safe, and it's not. And one way to do that is to place your cameras one way to catch evidence, and then the next day switch it up a little bit. Not necessarily you got to change the tree or what tree it's on, but maybe what angle you're at. Instead of 8 foot up in the air, put it 3 foot in the air. Instead of facing northeast, now it's facing northwest. Little things like that might make the difference of if they think it's the same angle the next night and they try to avoid it in the same way, you might have the advantage by now switching it up every night to be a little different. You know, then after like 3 nights or whatever, on the 4th night you can switch it to a different tree that's nearby or something. Or if you know where the evidence is at, to put more cameras over towards that area or something. That's when you change things up a little bit more. But I'd say the first couple nights that you put it there, you just want to change something every night, but make it just a little subtle. Because the object is to have them guess wrong. Then you can get some evidence. Better evidence. And that's my views on trail cameras. I hope you take these views and explanations out on your next hunt. Please leave a comment if these videos helped you get more or better evidence. Please watch my other videos, and I thank you for your time. Good luck.